Has your ex lost feelings forever? And I'm going to give you 3 reasons why they haven't, so check this out. If you're worried that your ex has completely lost feelings, I need you to take a deep breath. I need you to relax and understand that feelings don't just vanish completely overnight. Okay, yes, they've been thinking about breaking up with you for quite some time, sure. But if your relationship was meaningful and you guys had a great connection, it's not always over. What ends up happening is there's too much negativity in the bucket. The bucket just simply needs to be emptied, giving it time. But let me go into these 3 reasons real quick. So number 1, feelings don't just disappear instantly. Why does this matter? Feelings build over months, right? Good and bad. So they aren't just easily erased. And then you obviously have intimacy and all these things. So your ex may seem distant right now, but they're likely suppressing how they truly feel, trying to manage complicated emotions, right? One minute they're missing you and they love you and they want to work things out. The next minute they don't, because they can't just put that feeling away. Obviously, there's a reason why they're feeling the way that they do. So that's why you have to take a good hard look at yourself and go, well, what can I fix? And here's what they're really experiencing and what's really happening here. They're experiencing temporary emotional distance and confusion. Now, this can turn into long-term, and here's what happens with most people, is they end up not ever giving their ex enough space, okay? And it's not always a permanent, indifference or permanent space that happens to you in the relationship. Often it is supposed to be temporary, but usually the dumpies just continue to chase, beg, and pursue. So their coldness and silence is usually them, again, trying to manage complicated emotions. Plus, if they were warm towards you, all right, it's gonna confuse you as the dumpy. Because again, if they're warm, you're gonna be like, well, they still miss me and they still love me and they still want to be together. And so they have to be stone cold because they have to process what they actually do feel. So here's step number 2, is just nostalgia will bring their feelings back, and it's your best friend. Okay, now you need to handle this correctly. I don't want you trying to force nostalgia. It needs to be organic. Now, why does this matter? Positive memories tend to linger longer than negative ones. That's why I'm talking about emptying the bucket. Once the bucket is empty, negative emotions, right? Over time, your ex is going to naturally reminisce about the good times that you guys did share together. Okay, nostalgia is a very powerful trigger that reactivates dormant emotions. Again, I see my students go through this all the time with their exes, right? Their exes will say things like, I never really thought we were going to ever break up, or get back together. I was just going through the emotions. I had to just go with what I felt. Makes sense. So how does nostalgia even happen? Well, something like a familiar song, place, mutual friend, groups, all these things that you guys shared together pops back up in their mind as they're living life. Maybe you guys favored at a coffee shop or something like that together. It's going to be, it'll stir the reminiscent pot. It'll stir the nostalgia up. It's really good. So even if they are focused on negative aspects, nostalgia is going to really push them past that middle zone. See, they're often teetering between, like, if it's like a long bar or line, and this is 0, this is 100, and there's like the middle, they're going to teeter between wanting to be with you and not be with you. Okay, that happens all the time. All right, so step number 3 is their moving on phase is often temporary. And why does this matter? Okay, if your ex seems to have quickly moved on or dated somebody new or whatever, it doesn't always reflect emotional closure. A lot of the time, they are, again, trying to manage complicated emotions. And remember the negative bucket, they have a positive bucket too, and they want to keep that full. And oftentimes they'll start to go and do things in their life that they think will give them that positive emotion that they're looking for, okay? That's where the idea of the grass isn't always greener. They think it might be, but then they start really missing you, nostalgia, and then they come back around. And again, this happens all the time. Now, it just takes a lot longer than you'd think. So rebound relationships or sudden changes are usually ways for them to distract themselves rather than genuine long-term feelings for that person. Again, managing the complicated emotions. So here's what's really happening. They're distracting themselves from the emotional discomfort of the breakup. Remember, and this is why it's so important to go no contact, because you cannot beg, chase, and plead for them, because they're going to want that space, and they need that space to really remember nostalgia, how good the relationship was for them. Once the excitement and novelty of any new situation, like again, being single, that's a dream that they built up while they thought they wanted to break up with you, right? They're going to find themselves lonely and they're going to be like, look, I really do miss this, right? So as the new situation fades, the novelty of the new situation fades, they're going to be like, I felt more comfortable over here. And again, that's why that negative bucket needs to be emptied. Here is what you do in the meantime. Now, of course, if you need help from me, book a session, okay? Now, stay in no contact, okay? Give them the space to miss you and experience life without you. Silence allows those suppressed feelings to naturally resurface. The second thing you do is work on your own growth, okay? A lot of my students want to learn how to make money, and we go over strategies on that, okay? And a lot of them just don't have a purpose. That's a good one. So becoming the best version of yourself is always attractive, because look, let's say your ex comes back tomorrow. How different are you, right? And number 3 is be patient and confident, okay? That's going to always be more attractive than you being like anxious, So remember, feelings don't disappear quickly. Patience gives your ex time to genuinely reflect and reassess you, okay?